Welcome to the Stoic Responder Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Healy. As a special agent who spent more than 15 years conducting large-scale fraud, money laundering, and public corruption investigations, Stoic philosophy provided a mindset edge that became the foundation of my professional success. My mission today is to share those same ancient mindset lessons with you so that you can turn obstacles into opportunities and adversity into advantage. Time to muster up. Welcome back to the Stoic Responder Podcast. It's Tuesday. We made it. We're almost through September. This is one of those weird months. August is always so long. And maybe it's just me living in the Houston area because we tend to get the nastiest hurricanes in like August and September. And so I feel like August is always kind of a long, hot month where you're just like hoping nothing gets into the Gulf and it just feels like it lasts forever. But then September, you just like woke up and we're almost done with September. So we made it, folks. Welcome back. Hope you had a great weekend. Got 4 great episodes planned out for you this week. Before we get started, I want to remind you of our favorite 501c3 that supports the law enforcement community. That is, of course, the Overwatch Collective. The Overwatch Collective is a nonprofit podcast funding therapy sessions and supporting mental health initiatives for our first responders, our veterans, and their families. Motto over there is one more is one less. I have that on my sleeve right here because I'm wearing one of their hoodie sweatshirts. It says one more is one less. I take that message to heart because one more individual that we can provide life-saving therapy services to is one less potential statistic for our law enforcement community. So go check out the overwatchcollective.com. Make a donation if you can to support therapy sessions for our first responders. And if you want, you can buy or pick up some of their sweet hoodie sweatshirts or t-shirts like the one that I am wearing right now. I am like willing fall to happen. We had kind of a false fall like the first week of September, and then it's gotten blazing hot again. I'm trying to like will it into existence because fall happened, I guess, I'm recording this on Monday, the 23rd. I think Sunday, the 22nd was the first day of fall. And so I'm wearing a hoodie even though it's like 90 degrees outside, because I am trying to I'm trying to make fall happen. Anyway, folks, go check out the Overwatch Collective. Get yourself a hoodie. Maybe you live somewhere that actually has 4 seasons. And before moving on to the next thing, I also wanted to give a shout out to Blue Badge Coffee Company. Blue Badge is a quality coffee company whose mission is to provide customers with the absolute best premium coffee that their money can buy. They also take a portion of each sale and donate it to law enforcement agencies around the United States to assist them in funding or maintaining peer support and wellness programs for their officers. Really great coffee. You can check it out at bluebadgecoffee.com. You get some coffee, get a hat like the one I'm wearing, or a sweatshirt like I'm going to be wearing tomorrow. Because again, like I said, I'm going to make fall happen. I'm going to dress for fall until fall arrives. So check out bluebadgecoffee.com if you want to support that cause of getting some funds and donations out to wellness programs for officers around this great nation. Folks, let me start you out with a quote from Marcus Aurelius. The title of today's episode is You Don't Have to Have an Opinion. And we're going to start you out with a quote. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control. These things are not asking to be judged by you, so leave them alone. Now, again, when we quote Marcus Aurelius, we are actually quoting his journal entries. We're quoting him writing to himself. He is reminding himself when he says, you don't always have to have an opinion. You have the option of having no opinion. There's never a need to get worked up or trouble your soul about things you cannot control. So you don't have to opine on everything. That is so hard to do in this day and age. I take the example of on Twitter a few years ago, it was very commonplace for people on the left side of the political spectrum to tag Taylor Swift in posts. Taylor Swift's silence is deafening. It actually became a meme of its own right of people on the right side of the political spectrum mocking people for constantly trying to get whoever it was, whether it's Taylor Swift or some other incredibly popular celebrity, to weigh in on every issue. Your silence is deafening. You have to weigh in. No, you don't. You don't have to weigh in. Not everybody has to weigh in on everything. Not everybody knows everything. Not every, you know, to give an example, not every police shooting that occurs requires every single person on Instagram and Facebook to have an opinion. Most of you don't know the first thing about police use of force or constitutional law. So maybe take a few beats before you decide you have to have an opinion on something, right? That's what Marcus is essentially telling himself. And this is kind of like maybe the worst people for this, the people who get caught up in this the most, are people who are narcissistic, who believe that their opinions matter more than other people's, who want to be in front of a camera all the time, who want to have their opinions heard all the time. And of course, I'm referring to, by and large, our media class, our celebrity class, the people who are actors and actresses and singers, the people who get up on a stage. It's easy for people like that to believe that their opinion matters, carries more gravity, has more weight, that they need to express an opinion about everything because the camera's on them, because people are paying to watch them play a character or act. It screws up their thinking. They become very narcissistic and they believe that everything they have to say is important. Same thing with politicians, right? Politicians love to talk. They love to talk. And in fact, there's this kind of old media trick on Capitol Hill. And if you've ever watched CNN, you've probably seen this guy, Manu Raju, who is like the master of this tactic. Basically, let's say a politician, let's say it's typically, they typically run this play on Republicans and they typically take the bait. But let's say a Republican gets caught doing something controversial. How about George Santos? That's a controversial name. He was caught doing all sorts of lies, all sorts of nonsense. He's no longer in Congress. He got kicked out. But when the controversy was brewing around George Santos, Manu Raju from CNN, the reporter on the Hill for CNN, would run up and down the hallway with a microphone or his iPhone, sticking it in people's faces, asking every passing Republican senator or representative to comment on whatever the latest nonsense with George Santos is. And rather than just be like, you know what, I got to get to a meeting. I don't have time for this. I don't really have an opinion on whatever the breaking news is about one of the 400 plus, was it like 435 representatives in the House of Representatives. I don't have to have an opinion about that guy, okay? Not everybody has to have an opinion. Just because, I'm from the same political party doesn't mean I have to give a damn. I got constituents to serve. I got things I got to do. Go play this game with someone else, right? That would be the easy thing to do. But politicians love to talk. Like I said, they're narcissists in the same way that celebrities are, in the same way that, our musicians and our movie stars are. They're narcissists. They love to talk. So they always take the bait, right? They see Manu Raju come in with the microphone and of course they're going to stop or they're going to talk to him and answer his questions as they walk. And what happens is their responses fuel the next news cycle, right? They give the hook so that 24-hour news cycle that our cable networks run has something else to fuel it. Maybe they'll say something stupid. They'll stick their foot in their mouth. And all of a sudden we've got the controversy inside the controversy. And then Manu's got something else to go ask people about next. So they always take the bait because they love to talk. And soon the story evolves from news about a given incident into the he said, she said sniping about that incident that keeps the partisan viewers tuned in, right? Now, as I said, what if they didn't take the bait? What if they just said, I don't have an opinion, and then got on with the business of serving their constituents? We'd probably have a much more effective government, healthier public discourse. We'd have better news stations, right? If we stuck to the issues, if we didn't get into the he said, she said nonsense that typically evolves out of every single minor issue. Let's go ask everyone from the same political party their take on this and then use that to fuel the next set of stories. Everybody knows the game, yet they continue to play it instead of just saying, I don't have to have an opinion. And I think that's what Marcus Aurelius is saying, because as the emperor of Rome, even though he's the most powerful man in the known world, in the Western world at the time, that's still a political job. There is still politics involved in it. He still has to deal with the Senate. He still has to deal with the politics of leading an army. He's dealing with foreign relations, international relations, fighting wars on different fronts, conquering spaces, administering to all of these different various cultures and communities within the Roman Empire. It's a very political job. And no one man can have his finger on the pulse of every bit of that, right? You have to delegate. You have to put some things in other people's hands and control what is yours to control. And that is a lesson that I wish more politicians would learn, because at his heart, Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, is a politician. And he's reminding himself of that. Now, the same is true of you. Let's say you're in law enforcement like I was. Not everything requires your input or opinion that happens within your agency, within your department, right? And more often than not, participation in the gossip and the complaint sessions and the choir practice after work, it only serves to make you unhappy and cause you to be less productive. When you get deep into the office politics, well, let's take law enforcement out of it, right? At your job, if you're listening to this and you're not law enforcement, same thing applies. Not everything requires your input or opinion. You don't have to care about the latest gossip. You don't have to care about the latest rumors. You don't have to get involved in that discussion, because what happens, and I speak from experience, what happens when you are constantly worked up about, who's that person they hired at headquarters, or who is that person that, is now in charge of this section, or why are they changing this rule or that policy, is it makes you more unhappy because you focus on these things instead of things that you do control, things that you can achieve, things that you can take care of in the course of your daily business. Focus on things external to you that you cannot fix or change or do anything about. You're taking your eye off the ball, and that is by definition going to make you less happy, less healthy, less of an asset, less indispensable. Not everything is yours to judge. That's what Marcus Aurelius is telling himself. That's what we need to tell ourselves. Not everything requires our opinion. Not everything deserves our attention. I see things online all day, every day. I am a news junkie. A lot of that comes from being an employee of the federal government in an immigration enforcement capacity, where that is heavily in the news, where things happen that impact the job that I did as a federal agent. So I've always, at least for the last 15 plus years, have kept an eye on what's happening at the Hill. Is there going to be a budget, a continuing resolution? What is working its way through committee that might impact how I do my job? What cases are in front of the Supreme Court that might have a downstream impact on use of force, or on, how we operate, on border search authority, on various things. So I've kept an eye on those things. And I also, for my job as a Homeland Security analyst for news organizations, I have to keep an eye on what's going on. What I try to do is to filter what I'm looking at and only pay attention to those things that are necessary for me to pay attention to be good at my job, to do what I have to do. Because I get to have an opinion on the radio, right? I get to share that opinion. That is part of my job, but not everything is. Not everything is mine to judge. I don't have to be concerned about all of the things. I can choose to separate out that which is necessary to what I am doing, and that which I can control from the rest. We need to learn to focus, get in on the frequency that we need to be on, and let the rest of it be white noise. Not everything is yours to judge. Not everything deserves your attention. You have so much work to do in the areas that you do control to be drawn into those things that you do not. To go back to that old chestnut as I wrap it up here, Seneca again told us, it's not that life is short, it's that we waste so much of it. What better way to waste our time than to stick our nose in every single issue and thing that doesn't matter to us or mean anything to us? Focus on the things you control. Focus on the things you need to focus on. Focus on the things where you do have a certain expertise and you can opine in a way that might change the course of something, that might make something better. But on the rest of things, practice these words. I don't have an opinion. And repeat those words often. When someone asks you, when someone jumps onto your Facebook, when somebody sticks a microphone in your face from the local news channel and asks you to opine on anything, repeat these words. I don't have an opinion. All right, folks. Let me leave you with the journal prompt, and then I'll get you out of here. Ask yourself this. When did I take the bait today? And how can I try not to take the bait tomorrow? Ask yourself, if you're listening to this at the end of the day, when did I take the bait today? Did I take the bait on something? Did I jump in on something and have a half-cocked opinion? Did I go down a rabbit hole? Did I waste my time and effort in the office politics, the gossip, the things that I don't need to be paying attention to? Did I help fuel that news cycle? Did my comments now become the commentary? Did they now become the news cycle because I stuck my nose where it didn't belong? Ask yourself, where did I take the bait today? And then make a plan for how you're going to improve that tomorrow. All right, folks, thanks for listening. There's a couple of ways that you can support this podcast. Number one, pick up a copy of my book, In Valor, 365 Stoic Meditations for First Responders. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. I think it's on Apple Books. Anywhere you get your books, basically. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on Nook for instant download right now. You can get the paperback edition. It's on Amazon Prime. They'll get it to you tomorrow or the next day. Pick up a copy of that. That's the best way to support this podcast. I don't really sell a lot of products. I wrote this book as a passion project. It's been helping a lot of people. I've got a lot of great responses on it. So if you are enjoying these lessons that you get on this podcast, you're just dipping your toes into Stoicism, you're not sure what this philosophy is all about, the best way to practice this on a daily basis is to pick up a copy of my book. You can practice this philosophy daily in 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's a great tool for law enforcement, great tool for first responders. It's going to be directly relatable to your job. I'm going to give you Stoic quotes. I'm going to give you some modern interpretation of those quotes. I'm going to give you some daily journal prompts and action items to help you integrate these lessons so that you can live in a way that is more conducive to having that good mindset, having the things that are in your control, the main thing in your life. Okay. Number two, you can subscribe to the Substack, the Stoic Responder, for free. You can absolutely make a donation and pay any amount that you want. That I tell people, feel free. It's up to you, but it's a free service that I give out. And on that page, if you sign up at thestoicresponder.substack.com, you're going to get 4 podcasts delivered to your email. You're also going to get my weekly newsletters. I didn't do one last week, but some weeks I do 1 newsletter. Others I do 2. Sometimes I skip a week here and there, but you're typically going to get 4 podcasts a week plus any weekly newsletters that I put out with Stoic leadership and personal development tips. And finally, like, share, and subscribe this page. And if you've gotten a copy of the book, leave an Amazon review, but review the work that I'm doing wherever you're consuming it so that others can learn about what we're doing here. It only takes a few seconds for you, but it makes a big difference for me. So thanks so much, folks. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, you are out of roll. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, rate, and share this podcast so that we can spread the benefits of Stoicism to other first responders. It will only take you a few moments, but it can help us tremendously. Until next time, out of roll.